Hello students, welcome to the second session of biology chapter Living World. So in last session we did study about how to define the living organisms based on their criteria. So we had studied about growth, reproduction, metabolism, cellular organization as well as consciousness, and we gave a proper definition for living organisms. In today's class, we will be studying about diversity in living world. So to define what is diversity. So diversity means presence of large variety is termed diversity. Now when it comes to living world, we have to use this diversity for our own benefit in a form like biodiversity. So what is biodiversity? It is variety of living organisms. Spread throughout the earth, that is what we can use to define biodiversity. It is variety of living organisms present all over the world in the whole earth. So that is biodiversity. Now when it comes to different varieties of organisms, we have to give certain names for them. So before naming them, first what we have to know is, first we have to identify them. So what is identification? First thing, once an organism is seen or identified, or we have to name it, before that we have to give the identification for that particular organism. How will you define identification? So identification means you have to study the morphology, that means external characters, anatomy, that is internal characters. Both morphology and anatomy of any organism should be studied in order to identify the organisms. And once the organism is properly identified based on its character, next process is naming the organism. Now naming the organism. When it comes to naming of the organism, here what happens is, different place all over the world, if you see, if a mango is present, we give different local names for mangoes in different areas. Inside India itself, mangoes are called in different names in South India when you compare it with North India. So different names are given for a single organism. Now if you see the same throughout the world, it might lead to confusions. There are chances that because of the common name, the species might get confused with something else. That is why all over the world a particular type of naming is given, that is called scientific name, and that is termed nomenclature. So nomenclature, to define it, nomenclature means it is scientific naming of any organism, or giving a scientific name to any organism is termed nomenclature. So before we reach nomenclature, what is to be done? First, once the organism is obtained, it should be identified based on its proper characters, both anatomically and morphologically. After that, it has to be scientifically named, what we term nomenclature. So when it comes to scientifically naming an organism, a person or a scientist Carolus Linnaeus, okay, or C. Linnaeus, he did give a different type of nomenclature, that is termed binomial nomenclature. So Carolus Linnaeus did give a type of nomenclature termed binomial nomenclature. What is a binomial nomenclature means? In scientific naming, if you have two terms to define a scientific name, then it is termed binomial. The name itself suggests here, bi means two. So if the organism is given two concepts or two components in its scientific name, then it is termed binomial nomenclature. For example, if you see, now let us take mango as an example, where the scientific name of mango is Mangifera indica. So this first name or first component of the scientific name, this is called a genus. So this is called Mangifera here is a genus name, and indica, it is a specific epithet. So indica is species name or specific epithet, whereas Mangifera is genus name. So in together, mango is the common name, Mangifera indica is the scientific name. In case of Mangifera indica, Mangifera stands as a genus name and indica stands as a specific epithet, or it is also called species name. So as it involves two components, this type of naming can be termed binomial nomenclature, which was given by Carolus Linnaeus. So this is about identification, nomenclature and binomial nomenclature. So next, when it comes to naming, in case of naming any plants or naming any animals, there are two platforms which help in providing the scientific name, and these scientific names are accepted globally. So when it comes like this, here there are two platforms, ICBN and ICZN. So here ICBN means International Code for Botanical Nomenclature, whereas ICZN is International Code for Zoological Nomenclature. So here ICBN concentrates on naming, that is giving scientific names for plants which have been identified, whereas ICBN concentrates more on giving scientific names to the animals which have been identified. So there are certain rules which are followed both by ICBN as well as ICZN, which is termed universal rules for nomenclature. Now we will just see what are the rules to be followed to give scientific name to any organism. So the first rule here is, to give any scientific name, the term should be chosen from Latin and it should be written in italics. So here the first rule is, to give scientific name to any organism, wherever or from whichever place it might have been identified, the first rule says that the term should be extracted from the Latin word. It should be extracted from the Latin word and it should be written in italics. The term or the scientific name should be written in italics wherever or whichever is the place from where the organism might have been identified. This is the first rule. Second rule, it should involve two components. That is, the scientific name should involve two different components, that is we have discussed before. One is genus, another is specific epithet. That is the second rule. And when it comes to the third rule. To explain this third rule, let me once again write the scientific name here. Mangifera indica. Okay, to explain this third rule states that first letter of genus, this is the genus and this is the first letter of genus should be written in capital. So when writing handwritten, it should be underlined separately. Okay, once you write a scientific name, the genus name should be written underlined and specific epithet should be written and underlined, and both should be underlined separately. You cannot write like this. This is a wrong way to write it. You have to write both of them separately and you have to underline both of them separately, keeping in mind that the first letter of genus should be written in capital and first letter of species or specific epithet will be written in small letter. That is for handwriting. If you are typing it or in printed case, then it should be written in italics. In italics it should be written, but no need of underlining. So once again I will explain the third rule. According to third rule, the scientific name should be written in such a way that the genus first letter should be written in capital and the species first letter should be written in small letter. If it is handwritten, then both of them should be underlined separately. But if they are printed, then what happens is you should write in such a way that it is written in italics, but no need of underlining if it is printed. You might have seen in different textbooks, you can see that all the scientific names will be written in italics, but they are not underlined. So that is the third rule regarding universal rules of nomenclature. And the fourth rule is the author's name. Author's name, which can be written at the end of the scientific name in abbreviated form. For example, no need of underlining here. So here Carolus Linnaeus is the author or who have identified or given the scientific name for the organism identified. So I have abbreviated his name into LINN, Lin, and I have written it at the end of the scientific name without underlining. So this is the fourth rule, where the author's name can be written in abbreviated form at the end of the scientific name. So these are the rules which are to be followed in order to give any scientific name to any organism by both ICBN as well as ICZN. To once again understand the rules properly, the first rule suggests that the organism which have been identified and which is to be named, the name should be chosen from Latin, or the term should be taken from Latin, and it should be written in italics from wherever the organism might have been originated or identified. That is the first rule. Second rule states that it should involve two components, that is a genus name and a specific epithet. Third rule states that the genus first letter should be written in capital and the species first letter should be written in small. And these should be, while writing or handwritten, these should be underlined separately. But if it is a printed one or you are typing this, then the term should be written in italics without underlining it. So that is the third rule, whereas the last rule or the fourth rule states that here the author's name or the person who have identified the organism can be written in abbreviated form after the scientific name. We have taken the example of Mangifera indica, in which we have written LINN, the author is Carolus Linnaeus, whose name I have abbreviated and written at the end without underlining. These are the four different important rules which are to be followed by both ICZN and BN in order to give any binomial nomenclature to the organism which have been identified. So that is about identification, nomenclature, binomial nomenclature, biodiversity, and the different rules to be followed to give a scientific name to any organism. So that's all in today's class. Next class will be studying about how you can categorize the organism into different taxonomies, along with which you will be studying 4 different types of organism as well as their complete classification. Thank you.